Warm Snow is the latest roguelike to enter the arena, hoping to sit at the top alongside giants such as Hades, but can this indie effort do enough to earn such acclaim? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. My name's Alex, this is SwitchCorner, and if you enjoy the video, subscribe, it helps us out a huge amount. Warm Snow is inspired by Chinese folklore, weaving a narrative of mythical powers and a solitary champion on a quest for justice. So what has gone awry? Well, in the 27th year of the Long Wu era, an oddity blanketed the earth, and that is snow. Not just any snow, however, as the title suggests, it is warm. So this is more than a mere marvel. This warm snow sends the world spiraling into turmoil, morphing its inhabitants into monsters. Our mission: challenge the 5 once noble houses safeguarded this realm, cleanse them of corruption, and take down the White Lotus. I enjoyed the story. It's straightforward yet sprinkled with collectibles that do develop the narrative. Totally up to you if you want to delve deeper into those, and then it wraps up with a brief but satisfying conclusion. So let's be clear, Warm Snow has its imperfections, yet from the get-go I was hooked, and that is the hallmark of a stellar roguelike, the sheer inability to put it down. Now, after roughly 23 runs, I clinched my first victory, and the appeal didn't stop there. Now, while the game welcomes you with an easy mode, do not be fooled. There are 5 more difficulty tiers waiting to be unlocked. Having conquered the challenge dubbed Fine Snow, I'm immediately ready to dive back in. Drawing parallels with Hades, Warm Snow is an isometric roguelike where you're dropped into various locations with a clear objective, that is, destroy all foes before proceeding. Every cleared location grants a reward. Expect here though 2 types of upgrades: there's boosts that vanish upon death, and ongoing enhancements you unlock between runs. Permanent upgrades come from overcoming in-game bosses, each rewarding you with a gem. This then leads you to a skill tree segmented into 3 core areas: it's health, combat, and relics. The relic upgrade fine-tunes and modifies the caliber of in-game items you do encounter, but I will admit I didn't pay any focus to this element personally, instead relying on brute strength and the health meter. The combat is great fun too. You kick off with a standard sword, but as you do progress you'll stumble upon enhanced versions with varied stats, from attack speed to strength and defense to specialized elemental buffs. Think like augmented damage against poison afflicted foes or a boosted thunder strike. However, my main issue with the combat system is just in its uniformity. Unlike many in the genre that offer diverse weapon mechanics, here they all handle identically. Fortunately, the secondary attack is unique. You have 5 swords affixed to your back, ready to be hurled and skewer enemies. Post-throw, you can either retrieve them manually by walking over them, or you can press the right trigger to summon them back instantly. This mechanic is a game changer. The returning blades can strike foes, so it becomes part of your tactics. However, a word of caution: this summoning operates on a cooldown timer, so you do need to be strategic. The locations are generally well made thanks to procedural generation. Each run at least feels a little different. You'll be facing a mix of enemy sizes, you'll need to learn their movesets. Every part of the game has a mid-level boss as well before the big final showdown. I really did like these. And then while the difficulty of these main bosses can be uneven, I mostly enjoyed fighting them. And yes, some can be easily handled once you figure out their patterns, but that will take practice. Other abilities that will assist you on this quest are health potions, the number of which you can expand thanks to the skill tree. You actually start here with 2, and then the ability to dash, which provides brief invincibility frames. Beyond combat and weapons, then the game digs into character build strategy, which can get a bit tricky. When you start a run, you pick a skill. You get these from statues unlocked as you do beat the game's bosses. I had a favourite skill. It took away my control of the throwing swords, but they'd actually auto-fire whenever I hit enemies, dealing twice the damage. I did test out the other choices, like a super strong gold sword, but like many out there, I stuck with what I first liked and kind of honed in on that strategy. During runs then, you can pick from different paths. Each path has a symbol that tells you what's coming. There's a good mix. A health symbol means a fountain to heal up, and blue gems are currently for the store before boss fights or for upgrades between battles. Relics are special boosts that can be active or passive. My focus was on a powerful special move shown right below your health. Then there are tomes which give permanent boosts, like an extra 30% attack power. What I like about Warm Snow is how everything connects. Maybe you've got an electric finishing move and a weapon that adds more punch to the electric hits. So it's not just about picking options randomly, it's about making smart choices that do combine well together. Beyond that though, you're just going to be diving into the fight and taking on the bosses. One thing I really appreciate, after beating a boss, you're going to be taken back to the hub world. There you're going to be fully healed and your health flasks are refilled. Gives a small break before the tough parts ahead. But do remember, this is a roguelike. If you die, you're going to be back to fighting those very same bosses, aiming for that flawless run. Mid-level bosses do change at least, so that adds a dash of extra variety. So Warm Snow isn't without its issues. While I like the combat, the animation speeds needed getting used to. It sometimes feels slow, almost like there's a slight delay, but it does seem intentional. Also, you can get upgrades that speed it up. The frame rate isn't consistent then, usually around 30 to 40, but I didn't see any major hiccups. Felt fine overall. And then playing in handheld mode, do be careful there. I actually experienced quite considerable slowdown with the second boss, a screen filling encounter, and also the game's camera is zoomed quite far out, so handheld might not be the best way to enjoy this one. The real letdown for many though might be the lack of guidance. Warm Snow doesn't explain much at all, so if you're new to the genre it can be confusing. I had to figure things out with some trial and error, especially when building my character. The hub world is the same deal, lots of menus, and I'm still getting the hang of them myself. It also has some odd choices, like using the minus button to pause the game. I kept watching the same cutscenes repeatedly and I found out you can skip them by holding down that minus button, but the game never mentions it. Warm Snow offers solid gameplay, a distinct world and fun boss fights, however it falls short with missing tutorials, tricky menus and limited weapon options. I enjoyed it for sure, but if you're new to this type of game, do be cautious. It's not about it being too hard, definitely played harder genre entries, it's more about figuring out the right strategies with the items and the different builds. So I've got to say, visually Warm Snow delivers. Combat feels weighty and speedy, and as you progress, you tweak your build, things get impressively flashy. There's nothing quite like either seeing enemies just burst into that rewarding splash of blood. Bosses, from the swift and nimble ones to that one big screen dominating beast, definitely a sight to behold. Really appreciate the heads up the game gives you as well, with on-screen warnings for incoming projectiles. Feels fair, no sneaky hits from off-screen. The locations then mostly hit the mark, but I felt the snowy mountains, your starting area, could use, some spice. It got a tad repetitive after sailing through it time and again. The same honestly goes for the first few areas as well. Yes, there's procedural generation, but it doesn't perhaps do quite enough. The audio is generally decent as well. The music I really like plays into the folklore element of the experience while respecting the mythical situation of this world. Combat sounds heavy with each slash of your blade, and the exploding enemies, they have a respectable crunch backing it all up. We even get some basic English voice acting throughout, but I wouldn't expect Shakespeare here. It's a few basic lines, but it adds a nice bit of personality to this cast. The horny shopkeeper is particularly creepy at times. So in summary, for those seasoned in the genre, Warm Snow is a great choice. The combat is fast-paced, its world unique, and those boss fights challenging and fun. Diving into the skill tree, relics, and items to mess with the build as well, incredibly satisfying. Yet, if you're fresh to this kind of game, I'd caution against starting here. The game trips up with sparse guidance, convoluted menus, and the occasional issue in balance. I enjoyed my time, but I can sense how it might frustrate me without prior genre know-how. I'm landing on a good 7 out of 10 today, and here's hoping we see more of this universe, because they really could be onto something great. And that is the video down. Will you be checking out Warm Snow? Let us know in the comments. With that, hit subscribe, join us here for reviews, deals, news and lists daily, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.